what is your real purpose for wanting to lose weight? Because I just tell them the people that see the best results are the people that actually have a real purpose to want to change. Is it because when you're playing with your kids, you're getting out of breath? That's a big one that I do have.
Welcome along to the Lifting Life podcast. I'm Cam, I'm the host. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I'm a personal trainer and I also work in IT. Today, I'm joined by Aran in person even. It's the first in person one I've done in quite a while. Aran, he is a personal trainer from the gym that I go to here in Manchester. So I've known him for a few months. You know, as you do go into a gym, you build those connections with people who you see there regularly. And I thought he'd be a good person to chat to, especially in person, like I said. Given that he's a personal trainer, this episode is primarily focused on what it's like to onboard with a personal trainer if you haven't had one before. We also discuss the ideas of like habit change, how to be confident in a busy gym, because the gym that we both go to is one of the busiest gyms that I've ever seen. And also because Aran specialises in training Muslim clients, we chat about things like fasting and training during Ramadan and quite a few different aspects in that space. As always, I appreciate you tuning into the podcast, and any support you can show goes a long way, and it also helps me keep getting these awesome people on. So any support you could show would be hugely appreciated. And remember, you make you.
Intentionally didn't put us on wheelie chairs,
So we
otherwise
didn't
we swing around and stuff. But Aran, we're here, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
We obviously know you from the gym a few months ago. We joined, and you're a very charismatic dude, and you're a really nice PT. So I thought you would be a perfect guy to bring on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, it's a pleasure. You know, I kind of luckily found my way here after about half an hour walking around,
Literally
past.
here, not to be on the podcast, literally to the building.
Yeah, but no, it's good to be here. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Now, obviously, because you're a personal trainer, I want to keep this focused on a lot around maybe hypothetical client scenarios.
Okay.
So if people are listening and maybe haven't engaged with a personal trainer, or obviously new year, thinking about maybe doing it, we could provide some tangible tools for them and explain the process to what it looks like to engaging with a trainer.
Yeah.
So where we could start, or where I would like us to start, is for you to just outline what your kind of onboarding process looks like. Say the situation could be someone has reached out to you, like, hey man, I'm keen to become a client. Like, how do we do this? What does that, that's pretty ideal. It's not you reaching out to them. So let's just say you've got past that lead generation kind of stage. Skip past that. They're like a pretty warm lead. Looks like they're going to come on. What does it look like from there?
Yeah, so kind of, obviously it's a bit different if they're in person or online. So I'll go kind of through the in-person bit first. So obviously if they come up to me in the gym, you know, it'll kind of be a conversation, kind of get to know each other, make sure we're kind of, you know, on the right kind of path, like same brain kind of thinking. But the important thing is you have to be comfortable with the person that you're going to be trained by. So obviously if I was going to be trained by someone, because obviously my kind of niche is like Muslim men. So if I was going to, obviously no disrespect, but if there's a female that comes to me, they might be better suited to a person who targets female clients. So obviously that's the main kind of focus within in-person clients. And obviously the onboarding process after that is pretty much the same for online. So the way it works is...
We had a slight technical hiccup there. Anyway, so they're a warm lead.
So they're a warm lead.
You keep an eye on this, okay.
Yeah,
warm lead.
Warm lead, right, okay. So obviously it differs between online and in-person clients. So for an in-person client, obviously you'll speak to each other, you kind of get to know each other. Obviously my niche is like Muslim men. So for example, if there was like a female that was maybe not of Islamic culture, maybe it would be a little bit different. Maybe I'd kind of push them onto someone else who trained female specifically. But in terms of the onboarding process after that, after you kind of get to know each other, it's very similar between online and in person. So the way it kind of works is, we'll have a little chat, we'll have a call, or I'll bring them into the consultation room. You know how it goes. Then they'll basically just fill out a form, which is really quick, takes 2 minutes. It's just name, email, what are your goals? Why do you want to work with me specifically? Why haven't you been able to achieve this on your own? And kind of the thing is, a lot of people, especially in maybe cold outreach, they might object a little bit. But obviously it's kind of just trying to find a way to tell them, you've recognized the issue, you're trying to do something about it, it's not working. I kind of say, oh, most of my clients or some of my clients have had this problem before. And usually they find that the reason why they can't achieve X is because of Y, and this is because Z. So then you kind of just explain to them, even if you don't think you need a coach or a trainer, mentorship is very good in all forms. I have my own mentor as well, to
Very
kind
important.
of, it's very, very important for, self-improvement, fitness. It could be literally anything. So the way kind of that works is they'll object usually. They'll say something, and then I kind of just educate them a little bit, say why a coach is good, why, accountability is the most important thing, because it's all well and good going to the gym, eating well majority of the time, but if there's a week where you just fall off and eat loads of donuts or whatever, that's where you kind of need that accountability. So that's what I kind of teach them. And then usually they're like, you know what, actually, I do that. Maybe that's why I haven't lost X amount of weight, or I haven't achieved this goal yet. And then that's kind of, where they kind of sign up, and then we'll onboard them on the app. They'll get their own kind of, diet plan, training program, how it goes with, coaches. And then that's kind of how it is really. I like to have a close-knit group of people as well, of clients. I don't just take anyone on. So even when I am kind of looking at the forms that get filled out online and stuff, if there's things that stick out to me, I don't just take anyone on, because I want to make sure, we're the right fit. I can make sure that you're achieving your goals, keep you accountable, and also we have the same kind of, mindset. We want to achieve these goals as quick as possible,
I like the consistent theme of a mutual fit being there. It's not like a one-way street. It's not like I'm a client, I want you as my trainer, and the trainer says yes. You know, you have to, like, it's in the client's best interest for you to be a mutual fit too. Like,
of course.
My time as a personal trainer, you would have probably had clients where you didn't align very well, and it's such a difficult thing to then somehow offboard that client,
After 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I'd probably liken it to maybe a job interview or something. It has to be mutual on both parties, because you want to make sure you both get the most out of it that you can.
Yeah, 100%. So, I even feel that I've had clients in the past whereby maybe we don't have mutual, common interests, or not even interests, just we don't click.
Yeah.
And I'll say this as experience, sometimes you do have those clients as a personal trainer and you're like, breathe, right, we can do it. But that's just how in-person PT works sometimes, because you're not really designed or stuck to a niche in-person, because you have all kinds of different people walk into the gym.
And especially when you start, you're almost just like throwing out a net, right?
Exactly.
And just hoping that one or two people are keen to come on board. And then over time, you can start to niche down like you are now, because you've already got a solid foundation of clients there, right?
Which is obviously, it's a good thing, Obviously, when you first start as a personal trainer, there's things you do that you don't want to do. But in terms of, obviously, when I started my mentorship, and, the first thing that was mentioned to me is, who do you target? Yeah, so I said, I have no idea why I said it, because I have no experience in this field at all. It was overweight, high performers, entrepreneurs that want to, achieve big things, but they might not be able to fit in exercise and all this. And the first thing my mentor told me was, why do you want to target this specific group? And at first I was thinking,
I don't know.
It
just sounds good.
I don't know, because obviously I have friends as online coaches. One of them, Oliver Anwar, he's recently moved to Dubai. Very, very successful coach, really, really good. And that was kind of his niche. So I kind of just took inspiration from there, but I didn't actually connect with what I was passionate about. So that's kind of why, you know, my coach was just asking me all these questions. You know, that's why sometimes
Aaron,
forms are really
we're here, man.
useful.
Thank you so
You know,
much for
because the
coming
form
on.
said obviously
We've,
name, date of birth,
obviously
whatever,
know you from the gym
religion.
a few months ago. We joined,
Obviously,
and you're
Muslim.
a very charismatic
And then he was
dude,
like, why
and
don't
you're
you
a
go
really
for
nice
Muslims?
PT.
Why don't you go for
So I
Muslim
thought
men?
you would be a
Are you
perfect guy
passionate
to
about it? And I was
bring
like,
on
yeah,
the
to be fair. And he
podcast.
said, does Islam correlate with fitness and discipline? And I was like, you know what, it's not a bad idea, you know? So that's where it kind of came from. And obviously practicing and discipline, everything has just kind of came from Islam. So to correlate my business with Islam, you know, it puts a lot of, so we call it barakah, which is basically like it's like grace upon your work. So you'll get good deeds from doing your work. So obviously I want to help other Muslim men or even females. Obviously the niche is specifically men, but I do help some Muslim females as well, which is obviously, you know, alhamdulillah, I can't really complain. I'm loving the process, you know. So yeah, like it's really enjoyable. I feel like a lot of the time I'm not working because I'm helping people of my culture.
That's what you want, right? And I've noticed maybe in the past couple of months, your Instagram specifically, your content niching down into that niche. Can you? I'm interested to pick your brain on it. Let me know how training someone like who has Islamic beliefs versus someone who doesn't is different. Because obviously, like, my knowledge is very thin, but I know that something like Ramadan is a very obvious one that's very different. But could you maybe speak to some of the differences there and like how you're able to niche down?
Yeah, so obviously with, you know, fasting, especially Ramadan, you know, and obviously we fast in Ramadan, we fast Mondays and Thursdays as well. So it does differ slightly, but the main thing that I try and teach my clients, you know, ones that maybe, because I basically just try and bring them closer to their deen. So in terms of it teaches them self-discipline, which is obviously very important. You know, if you don't want to do something, but you still get up to do it, you know, that's the first step. And it's obviously, it teaches you, you know, impulse control. Again, very, very important. Obviously, to be successful, you have to, if you want to eat that donut, but you know it's not good for you, you don't eat it. If you don't want to go for that run, but you go for that run, you know, it's kind of just, it's all just kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but on my app that I have, it's a better way to explain it is we have like a prayer tracker as well, which obviously comes into play. This wouldn't be for my generic clients where, you know, it's a non-negotiable. You have to wake up in the morning. You have to pray Tahajjud. You have to pray Fajr in the morning. So they're the two prayers. So Tahajjud is before, it's like a night prayer, but you wake up. I wake up before Fajr, which is about, I think we're looking about 5:30 in the morning now, maybe 6, to, you know, just create that self-discipline, get your morning off to the right start, you know, by praying. It's discipline again. You know, you get up, then you work out straight away, and then, you know, you're done for the day. You can go to work, you can do kind of whatever. But especially in Ramadan, it's difficult, obviously, because you're fasting, you know, the whole day. And, you know, things can creep into your mind. But basically what it teaches you as well is to be empathetic towards the less fortunate, you know. So this is, again, why with the Muslim clients, I'll always put a hadith. So a hadith is basically just a bit of knowledge, maybe from one of the prophets. So, for example, one thing I really do try and preach on my clients is there's a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, the strong believer is better than the weak believer, but obviously both get good deeds. So being strong, that's just not about physical, you know. You can look really good, you can lift 240 kg, but if you can't lift the blanket off in the morning to get up to pray, you know, who are you? You know, you're not really that strong. So it's all about, you know, creating that balance with physical health, mental health, spiritual health. And obviously you can tell by the way I'm speaking about it, I'm very passionate about it.
I like that, man. I like how it's a very holistic view as well. You know, it's, discipline might be the overarching thing, but like you say, it's not just the physical. It's about the discipline to your faith as well as the going to the gym.
Yeah, of course. So it's even, you know, I don't want to be one of these generic coaches that's, you know, has in their bio, I help men lose 50 pounds without giving up, you know, burgers or beer. You know, it's one of those things I'm just not that passionate about. I think it's just everyone does that. So if I can incorporate something to, you know, help the Islamic community as well by bringing them closer to Allah, you know, being in line with their fitness and health targets, I can't really complain. I feel it feels different than when I was doing it before. And I didn't have much success when I was doing it before. But since I've been reaching out to people that I'm actually passionate about helping with, things are going well.
Yeah, it's like you're like a bit of a Venn diagram where your spiritual side and your professional side or something are kind
They've
of
just met in the middle.
Yeah, met in the middle when you're operating in this space where it aligns with two very big things that are important to you. I would be interested to dive more into the fasting and maybe before looking at Ramadan specifically. So it's Monday and Thursday.
Mondays and Thursdays, yeah.
And is that like a Ramadan fast too, where you're not drinking water and stuff too?
Very similar. Very, very similar. So it's difficult, but it brings you so much peace, It mentally and spiritually, you feel very close. You feel very grounded. It humbles you because obviously with what's going on in the world right now, a lot of people don't have the access to shelter, food, water, so it's kind of empathizing with those people to, be grateful because obviously living in UK, even in like Europe, we're very blessed.
You look around here, right?
The view, the camera, everything's good,
For context, we're at the top floor of a building in Manchester and it's like a sunny day outside, the sun's up,
alhamdulillah, you can't take everything for granted, One day everything could come crashing down. So I think for me, it's very important to be in touch with my religion because I am no greater than anyone else. We cannot judge other people. They might have been through things that we haven't been, so we don't understand the way their brain works, the way their spirit works, the way, they hold themselves. So obviously that's what we get taught as well, which is called sabr. So sabr is like patience. So even if you want to be angry at someone and argue with them, tone it in because, they might have had a bad day, something might have happened. And, obviously going back to the fasting, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but it just brings you that, because it's even after you eat the first thing. So when I break my fast, I'll have like 3 dates and I won't be hungry. I would probably maybe have a small meal afterwards, It kind of just brings you in line with, foods. You might feel hungry, but do you actually need that food? Obviously we need food, but compared to other people that don't have access to food all the time as we do, we have supermarkets on every corner. It just kind of brings you in line and very, very empathetic with the less fortunate. So
I like that, man. I back in Wellington, I had someone in my team. Her name was Shanitha. She might even be listening to this. Shout out Shanitha if you are. And she I watched her do Ramadan, must have been twice. And I just had so much admiration and almost awe for it because the closest thing that I can liken it to that I've personally done is I did a couple of bodybuilding shows in 2018. So like when you get to close to show,
that's why you press the 40.
you're virtually eating nothing, or you're carb deplete, for a week or whatever you are. And so I know what it feels like to not have that food intake throughout the day. So I could somewhat empathize, but then the next level to it was not having the fluids.
Like, that's the difficult part.
Yeah, because I swear black coffee and some BCAAs or something, pull me through. So not having the fluids. How do you find that, and what does it look like? Maybe zooming more into the Ramadan specifically. How do you structure it when you can take on food and fluids? You said you normally break it with a few dates, but what does it look like during Ramadan? Because obviously that's a long period of time.
So I'll tell you something interesting. So obviously I'm a qualified physiotherapist as well.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Did you not? I told you before.
Sure, that's cool. Okay, nice.
So when I was on placement, I was working in Salford Royal Hospital, and it was Ramadan as well. So twice I've worked there when I've been fasting. And one of the times, the most difficult time was when I was working on ICU. So as you can imagine, we had to wear, full PPE, mask. What were they called?
Like the hazmat suit?
The
face shield.
The face shield thing.
Damn, that's a full getup.
Yeah, we had to wear everything. And obviously in there, I don't know if bills are tight. There's no air conditioning. It's boiling. And as you can imagine, I'm waking up at, 4:30, 5 o'clock, maybe even earlier to pray. Then I'm literally awake. There's no point in me going back to sleep because I'm going to be too tired. So I'm waiting to go to work, go into the hospital, obviously put on all the PPE, and going on to ICU is a whole different level. You're sweating. My mouth is dry, but my body is very wet in a way because I'm sweating so much. And then obviously at lunchtime around about, we go to pray. And obviously, alhamdulillah, that's fine. But then after that, I'm like, wow, I've got another, 7, 8 hours of this. And obviously I've still got to, do another half of the day in ICU. I've still got to go to the gym. I've still got to do, X, Y, and Z that you do on a normal day-to-day basis. But it just makes you so in touch with, your creator, because you feel, as I said before, you feel grounded, you feel very humbled, because people live like that every day, sometimes weeks, so it's kind of just feeling empathy for people that don't have that, what's the word I'm looking for?
The option, like they
Kind
don't
of
have the choice.
option, like, yeah, it's like
They do it out of necessity.
Yeah.
They have to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
because of the time of the year it is. It just,
yeah, exactly. So that's the thing that really is very difficult. But in terms of training as well, the way me and my flatmate did it last year, we trained an hour before iftar. So iftar is where you can eat.
Yeah.
So we trained an hour before iftar. Then to break the fast, we had 3 dates, and that usually keeps us going for a while. You don't get hungry afterwards. Because obviously your body's kind of used to no food.
Become accustomed to
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
And then after we go to pray, and then we come back and finish the session, and then afterwards we kind of just stay up, listen to Quran, different things, So that's kind of how training works. But we kind of just get it done, you know. We don't mind. But the sessions are slightly shorter. Training changes slightly, so maybe we won't do as many compound lifts. We'll do more accessory lifts. Say for example legs, we might do like a leg extension, hamstring curl, instead of maybe doing deadlifts or squats or.
Just so it's less taxing on the body?
Yeah, a little bit, because after a while, there was one Ramadan I fasted and I was training and I went really, really heavy. Very silly of me. And I don't know what it was, but I had the problem ongoing for about 3 months. I don't know if it was a nerve problem. I don't know whether I'd done something to my joint. But after that, I was just, I need to be sensible, because, your body, you think you're kind of
invincible.
You think you're invincible, but something can happen like this.
Yeah, and you'd have to watch for even like cramping and all that kind of stuff, because you haven't got the hydration, the electrolytes in there.
100%.
Yeah,
which is very difficult. And that's kind of why we like to train an hour before.
Yeah,
it kind of works nicely, because obviously we'll warm up properly, we'll stretch, kind of mobility work, and then we'll kind of move on, and then half an hour into the session, then we can have a little bit. Not too much, because then we get bloated, feel a bit sick. But then after that, it's all well and good,
What are your client nutrition plans look like during Ramadan? How do you adjust them? Is it just the same food in this time, or is it they all go in a calorie deficit, or how does that work?
So the way I like to do it, so you'll get 2 types of people usually during Ramadan. So number one, so person A, they will forget training for a second. They'll eat a little bit. They'll go to the mosque. They'll go pray. Then they'll come back and they'll eat a little bit more, spend time with friends and family, etc. Or person B, as soon as it's iftar, they just eat as much as they can, as much fizzy pop as they want.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're tired. They go to sleep straight afterwards. Which obviously isn't the way to do it, So
you think about your insulin and like all of that happening inside your body.
Everything just spikes up.
Yeah,
and it's not very healthy.
No.
Fasting obviously is very good for the body, has many benefits for the body, but stuffing that much food, then it comes back to impulse control.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what we learn. But obviously some people, when that clock strikes and you can eat, they don't have that impulse control.
Yeah,
which is obviously very important. So we get taught as Muslims as well to eat slower. because obviously don't get me wrong, I don't know the science behind it, but I know there's a hormone that's released when you eat slower that makes you feel fuller, which is kind of why I eat with a baby spoon sometimes when I'm cutting weight as well.
Yeah, eat with like chopsticks or something when you're eating rice.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, so coming back to the nutrition plans, the meals will kind of stay the same, but obviously for those people that want to, lose body fat, lose weight, it's a lot easier for them, because you're working throughout the day, you're getting your steps in as normal, then you're probably only going to be eating one meal a day. Yeah. So usually around that period, even for the people building muscle, we'll either do a slight mini cut or we'll do like a maintenance, kind of just see how your body's adapting to it. Because obviously some of these clients I haven't had during Ramadan before.
So you don't know necessarily how their body responds.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's different, So it's difficult to gauge, but we kind of just play it by ear, really. So we kind of see how they adapt in week 1. Then obviously the fast gets longer, the month goes on. So we kind of see how their body adapts in week 1. If they're losing too much weight, maybe you can add little bits just to, increase that calorie intake. Shakes is a very good example. You can shove a load of stuff into a shake and just drink it very gradually, obviously not quickly, because obviously insulin levels and all that stuff. But that's kind of how it works. Obviously as well, during that month, obviously one of my training principles is like a spiritual amplifier. So what the clients will get is on the app that I have, they'll have tasks to do. So this could be obviously all the prayer times. They'll all be on there. They can tick it off when they've done it. And also they'll do a minimum of 3 minutes of dhikr after every prayer. So what that is, you say 33 times. You say Subhanallah 33 times. You say Allahu Akbar 33 times. And then you do Alhamdulillah 33 times.
Tongue twister. That's impressive.
Tongue twister, yeah. Yeah, obviously I'm not fluent Arabic, but I'm learning. So, because obviously my descent is Turkey, so I'm trying my best, to learn both at the same time. It's a little bit tricky. And obviously having a coaching business and an in-person PT business. You can only
do so much, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously in that month, it's more so not about the training, but it's about becoming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in terms of everything I've spoke about on the app that we do, we also kind of do like Zoom meetings with everyone. Say if someone's lonely, if they're on their own, they can join the call. They'll be on a FaceTime call with, everyone. We kind of eat together, we talk maybe for half an hour to an hour, just to give them that company, so they feel like part of the community as well, which is another strong point of my coaching program. We do like weekly competitions where you can win prizes, cash prizes, protein, creatine, everything like that, which, just creates that friendly competition, but it also makes them feel like they're part of a group, which is obviously very important. If someone's doing their journey on their own. Man. Yeah, especially if I've got clients, from Kuwait, Syria, these kind of places. If they're on their own doing it, they don't go to the gym with anyone. At least they have that communication with people,
I realized that we didn't actually cover how long the fasting window is for people who don't know. So my understanding is that it's sunrise to sunset.
Pretty much.
But sometimes more specific hours, right?
Yeah, so it changes. So from the first day of Ramadan, it's shorter compared to the last day. Is a lot longer.
It's coming into summer, right? So
exactly, yeah. So say, for example, now when we fast Monday and Thursday, it's not too long.
It's like 5 hours or something. not quite, but it feels like that, man.
Yeah, so it's round about, it depends what time you wake up, really. Yeah. So obviously, it's kind of from morning until around about now, it's about 4:30. Ish, which isn't too bad. I fast most days anyway. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound...
Coming from New Zealand, like, I've never had daylight hours that are this short before.
Yeah.
Like, sunrise at the moment is like 8:25 and it sets at 4 p.m.
Oh, really?
Like, it's just unreal, man.
Yeah.
Like, so I could see, but then, because is it March, right?
It starts March 10th or March 11th.
March, and it goes for a month?
A full month.
So then there's a daylight savings at the end of March. Right, so
and it's longer this year. It's longer this year, yeah. So that'll be a challenge. Well, who's not up for a challenge, you know?
You're up for it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Maybe zooming out a little bit and looking at your experience as a personal trainer again.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that when I was a personal trainer for a few years, you constantly met with misconceptions, whether that be about food or training or diet fads or whatever it is. And it's understandable because like there's so much stuff on the internet and books or magazines or whatever. So from your perspective, what are some of the most common misconceptions that you've had to deal with as your time as a personal trainer?
So there's a lot that gets pushed out there, and that's why social media is a dangerous tool. It's a beautiful tool to use
when used wisely. When used wisely. Yeah.
However, you do get some of these. It's even these like month challenges, like 4-week challenges, or diet challenges, Weight Watchers. People will get really like bunged into it. They'll be like, yeah, this is going to make me lose that weight. This is going to make me...
in this short period of time.
But it's not sustainable, There's obviously all these diets like OMAD, for example, like 1 meal a day. There's obviously soup-only diets, liquid-only diets, no sugar, no carbs. Realistically, when you've done that and you've lost weight, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to be craving it. And then what you're going to do, you're going to binge eat. And then you're going to put all that weight back on. So it's kind of just, there's been clients that have said, right, I'm not going to have any carbs. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to train?
That is the most classic one, I think.
How are you going to train?
Yeah.
And then they're like, what do you mean? Carbs make you fat? No, I can't eat bread. I can't eat pasta. I can't eat rice. And I say, right, carbs are what you need to gain that energy to be able to train. Obviously, timing of the meals is important because obviously you don't want to eat a massive meal of, say, just for argument's sake, chicken and rice and broccoli for
standard.
like a massive meal of that maybe half an hour before, because obviously we know as the body, the blood is going to be rushing to the digestive system, and then you're going to get all sorts of bloating problems. You're going to feel full, you're going to feel sick, these kind of things. So obviously timing's important, but carbs, that's the most common one that I do get. So it's all just kind of about education. So with my clients and even the people that reach out to me online, there's free resources out there that I give to people, whether it's on, fat loss, weight gain, healthily with minimizing fat gain. Workout programs, little snippets of my diet programs, just to kind of educate people, because, there's been so many fitness influencers that say, I don't eat sugar, I don't eat carbs. Here's my plan for £200 that you can buy to look like me. And
because they do look good too, but they've probably looked good their whole life and could almost do any kind of plan. And most of
the time they won't even do it. They do it to sell. It's all marketing. So that's why it's kind of with me, I push more online now because obviously in person is more expensive. If you're going to go to a good PT right now to train you, you're paying minimum £40 an hour, £50 an hour for if you want everything included, and things that are going to be scientifically based, that are going to really, really help you along your journey. And if you want results, you're going to want to do 2-3 sessions a week, Say for argument's sake, we do 3 sessions a week. That's £150 a week. That's £600 a month.
That's a lot.
For a lot of people, that's not affordable, No. Especially now, with everything going up in price, taxes, whatever. But that's why I kind of pushed it online, because you get all that support from me 24/7 for a fraction of the price, These prices, they're not expensive. Obviously, it's a business. You have to pay a fee. But if you want all that support, workout programs, video tutorials, diet plans, even a catalogue if you want it, trackers for your habits, it's all there for you. But people will go for the easy fix. They won't go for, I'm going to do a 4 or 6 month plan where, I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to learn everything. Because what happens with people when they do these really short stints, generally it overwhelms them to the point where they're like, right, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to go back to eating crisps on the sofa and watching Netflix.
It's that habit change, right? They go from doing almost nothing to doing too much, and then it's just an overload too soon.
Not even just physically, though, it's mentally. It's a lot to take in, Obviously, I've studied as a physiotherapist, I've studied as a coach, I've studied as a personal trainer. If you want someone with that knowledge to do everything for you, it's a gradual process. I've learned these things over the course of 5-6 years, and I'm still learning. We always learn, so having that all brought to you at once is just going to push you away. It's going to make
Mhm.
you a little bit scared. Even if people don't want to admit they're scared or nervous, you know, it's not easy, you know?
It's a lot, man. And this is one thing actually I wanted to talk to you about, and we're kind of almost bridging it now, is implementing habit change. You're kind of touching on it here where you're saying,
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to do too much too soon because it's almost inevitable. Maybe some people could handle it, but it's almost inevitable that people will
Yeah.
fall off because it'll be too much. So what's your approach to managing habit change and to make it tangible? Let's say the person we're talking about right now maybe goes to the gym or goes for a run once a week,
Yeah.
maybe preps a couple of meals a week, but mostly eats out.
Yeah.
So if you get someone like that, how do you manage their habit change to going to the gym a few more times and making their own meals more often and things like that?
Yeah, so obviously with me, there's a book, and I can't remember the name of the book, but this is where I got it from. It's called, I don't know if you've heard of it, Building a Habit Upon a Habit.
No.
So basically, this works really well.
Wait, is that the strategy or the...
It's
or
a
the book?
strategy.
Oh,
I don't know what the
it's
book's...
James Clear's
That's
book.
the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's...
I'm actually reading it right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so it's like habit stacking.
Yeah. So obviously it works very well, you know, not even just for fitness, but for Islam as well, you know. So obviously in the morning, everyone will wake up, have a shower, hopefully, if they have access to it, and hopefully brush their teeth, hopefully. But after you brush your teeth, if you start maybe going for a run straight afterwards, just to make it more generic, obviously for my clients, what I tell them to do is brush your teeth, shower, pray. So it's like an instantaneous thing. But after you do that on a regular basis for, you know, a few weeks, once you brush your teeth, your body already knows what it's doing. So that's the kind of way I do it. And obviously on my app that I have for my clients, you can tick it off. And then once you complete one task, it'll pop up with like, don't forget to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it makes it a bit easier for them.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you say, like going for meals out all the time, the way I like to do it is I incorporate cultural foods within, you know, the Islamic clients. So obviously, you know, with cultural foods, there's lots of biryani, kebabs, samosas, these kind of things, which include a lot of, you know, things like ghee or oil or these kind of things. So I still allow them to have those foods, but we just make a few alterations to the cooking ingredients so it still fits their macros, still fits their calories, still getting enough protein. And, you know, they'll get maybe once a week, if they've been up to scratch, go out for a meal.
Yeah.
Go have a pizza, go have a Domino's, go have whatever you want, go for an ice cream or waffle, whatever you want to have. Halal only, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Go and enjoy yourself, you know, because obviously the journey is not, you're not training to be a bodybuilder. My clients aren't trained to be bodybuilders. They're trained to, you know, become closer to their deen, you know, reach their fitness goals while still enjoying life and enjoying the foods that, you know, they make.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the most important thing. And obviously with the habits, that kind of coincides with everything. Because if you build a habit on a habit, it becomes a lifestyle more than a coaching program.
Yeah, exactly. It's about a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And in terms of maybe some more tangible stuff, do you work with specific blocks of time? Say if you brought someone on, do you say for this 12 weeks we're focusing on this, and then for the first 4 weeks we're doing this? Like, is that what you do?
So pretty much it depends on what the client's goals are, first of all. So what they'll kind of get in the onboarding process is something I like to call the Sunnah roadmap. So what this kind of has is it's like literally just looks like a roadmap, like a PDF. And when they jump on a call with me or whatever, it'll be blank. But when they sign up, it'll basically have 4 to 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks, kind of how we'll work. So obviously coming up to Ramadan soon, everyone will kind of have a specific block where it'll be like maintenance.
Yeah.
That'll be it. It won't be kind of like
surplus.
yeah. Just stuff in your face.
Yeah.
But obviously that is kind of how I like to structure it. So they kind of see, right, so by the 4th week, I should be doing this.
Yep.
By the 12th week, I should be doing this. And by the end of the 6-month period, I shouldn't need this coach anymore. So the way I like to do it is I don't want to keep every client forever, you know, because Obviously, I want them to achieve their results. I want them to stay disciplined, but I want them to be able to do it by
It's almost
themselves.
like graduating, right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Get them cap and
Yeah,
gown.
yeah.
But obviously, I don't want these clients forever. Obviously, there's clients that stick with me for longer just because they like the accountability. They like what I do. They feel closer to their creator because of everything within the app. Obviously, when they stop, they don't get access to that anymore. So that's what they like to keep. But obviously, that's kind of just how I like to program it, because it's all well and good having a coach, but if you don't have a structured plan and a goal, what are you really working towards, you know?
And you don't have anything like meaningful that you're working towards, it's far less likely that you're going to stick to the
Exactly.
whatever the plan is that you're on, because you don't necessarily see the point in
Yeah,
doing
exactly. And it's kind of like the way I kind of say to the clients, especially when I'm doing like my lead generation and talking to them, they say, I basically just tell them, what is your real purpose for wanting to lose weight? Because I just tell them, the people that see the best results are the people that actually have a real purpose to want to change. Is it because when you're playing with your kids, you're getting out of breath? That's a big one that I do have, you know? And sometimes, you know, you might get ghosted because they might feel a little bit, oh, actually, that is a problem, but I don't really want to talk about it. But the most important thing is, and the biggest step, the hardest thing you can do is speak to someone about it and seek guidance for it, which is kind of what I'm there to do. So when I'm messaging people, they might think like, oh, he's picking on me. But realistically, I'm just trying to help them, you know? So that's a big one that I do have. Another one is I don't feel comfortable, you know, or confident. And obviously there's a client that I do have. He's doing very, very well. So he came to me and he had lots of problems with his weight. Obviously he wears like a suit and trousers to work. And he was, you know, his buttons, you know, where the buttons is like...
everything's a bit tight.
The trousers are a bit tight. You know, the belt doesn't really fit anymore. But he works in like a sales job. So obviously he's very busy on the phone all the time. He sat down a lot of the time. And he came to me and he was like, look, I don't feel confident. I feel like it's affecting my work. I'm not really doing too much with my life. I don't feel confident in front of my wife. I don't feel like a good role model for my kids, which is kind of came from our conversation. So when we've kind of worked through a program together, he's lost lots of weight. He's built, you know, a good, you know, stable physique that he can be proud of. Number one, he doesn't get out of breath when he's playing with his kids. He feels more confident when he's speaking to his wife, and, you know, he feels more respected in a way, you know. When he goes into work, he feels instantly respected because he's in good shape. He even managed to get a job promotion as well, so he's increased his income. And this is a lot of things that people don't actually realize with fitness. So I think if you walk into a room, this might sound very controversial, but, you know, if you walk into a room and you're going to present something or you're going to sell something or that kind of thing, if you walk in and you're instantly in shape, and you walk in with your chest held high, your chin up, you know, you're speaking, you know, you believe in yourself,
man. Yeah, how
you're
you
very
hold
confident.
Yourself. Yeah.
You're instantly going to be respected. But if you walk in, your shoulders are down here, your chin's down, you're a bit high, or you're out of shape, there's that chance that you're not going to be respected as much, and people aren't going to buy as much into what you're trying to tell them.
What you're touching on here is a big topic, and I'd probably frame it like the implications of achieving your fitness goal, or the indirect things of achieving your fitness goal. And that's the thing, when you maybe first start as a personal trainer, you'll ask your client, okay, what do you want to achieve? I want to lose 10 kilos. Okay, cool, we're going to do a calorie deficit, we're going to X, Y, and Z. But once you've had more experience, like you're touching on here, is like, okay, why is that goal important to you? Like, what would that look like? And the next level, I'd be interested actually if you do this. I learned that there was a science experiment conducted, and that people found that if people had something that they were running away from or avoiding, and also a meaningful goal, they have much more drive to want to achieve that meaningful goal. So to make that tangible, let's say I want to lose 20 kgs. Okay, cool. Why do you want to lose 20 kgs? So I feel more confident and I'm more active with my kids. Okay, so what is the thing that you're avoiding, or what are you afraid of becoming if you don't lose that? And it's like, okay, well, maybe I could get diabetes. I could die younger than what I should. I could get heart problems, you know, X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z. So you have the carrot, the thing that you want to
Yeah.
achieve, but then you also have the tiger or whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
chasing you
Exactly.
towards that goal.
100%. And obviously coming from like an Islamic perspective, you know, the body is called an amana. So that is like a trust from God. So you're basically taught, you know, we have to look after this body. So it's like a vessel from God. And if you don't look after it, what you're kind of doing, you know? So you get a lot of people, maybe they go out for food a lot. They don't, a lot of the time it's just a lack of education.
Yeah.
Really. But obviously, if you look after your body, you exercise, you eat good food, you sleep well, you know, these are all things that will kind of help you along that journey and obviously not distract you, but remove the chances of you getting chased by that tiger, you know, that diabetes, those thyroid problems, you know, even osteoporosis, for an example, as I worked as a physio, you get a lot of people coming with osteoporosis and you kind of get their past medical history, their social history, what they kind of do, how active are they. A lot of the people, not active. I sit at home watching telly. Maybe I'll go walk to the supermarket that's 5 minutes away. That's about it, really. And, you know, it's kind of the benefits of, you know, weight training, you know, so it has lots of benefits, you know, in terms of, you know, bone density, you know, increasing muscle mass. It's very good for, you know, your mental health as well, because if you can see that progression easily, you're going to keep going and you're going to keep pushing and you're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to achieve your goals. And a lot of the time, it just takes that little push from a coach or someone just to give you that urge to be like, oh, I am doing the right thing. Like, I'm seeing results. I'm seeing it in the mirror. I'm seeing it on the scales. My friends are complimenting me. I'm getting promotions in work. My income's increasing. It's all a byproduct, as you say, of fitness.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the most important thing, really. It's like a building block.
Yep.
For success in this life.
When you have someone keeping you accountable, like yourself, it's someone asking you, hey, how has your sleep been? How have your stress levels been? How has your ability to walk upstairs? You know, is that getting easier? And when often it's not until someone actually asks you those things and makes you mindful of it that you're like, oh, shit, yeah, I can actually walk up those stairs at work fine now. Whereas like if you didn't have someone asking you, maybe you would actually have these benefits, but you don't necessarily notice them because they happen over such a long period of time. But in 6 or 8 weeks, you go, oh, how are your stress levels? You go, oh, wow, I actually have been a lot more relaxed lately.
Yeah, no, 100%. So it's even like obviously I do like a weekly check-in form with them, so they'll fill it out. And it is literally exactly what you've just said. So obviously for each person, it might be slightly different. So whether it's walking up the stairs or, you know, how are your stress levels? Are you managing better at work? Could be X, Y, Z, could be anything. But one thing I do like to touch on as well, which I do think is a very big problem in the world we do live in now, is there'll be a question on the check-in sheet and it'll be like, what kind of content have you viewed on social media? Obviously, you can kind of guess what that is.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy for, you know, young boys, even men, to access these X-rated forms of content.
I saw you put something up on your story the other day, and I thought it was cool that you're actually posting about that, because it has become a message that's a lot more prevalent now, and including scientists going into the reasons why you shouldn't watch that kind of content online. So I think it's cool that you're incorporating it as part of your message too. As a young guy, you're not like an old dude telling all the young guys don't do this stuff. Like, you get it, you know, you're part of that group that you're trying to address.
100%. So I think I put something on my story and it was like, try this for 30 days. And it was no X-rated content. Read a few pages of a book every day, like self-improvement book. Read maybe 2 ayahs of the Quran. I can't even remember what was on there. Drink 4 liters of water. Eat at least 3 40-gram protein meals a day, and watch how your mind and body transforms. And, you know, that content that's on there on the internet, you know, it's even if you go on Twitter or X as it's called now, it's all these bots that maybe like, you know, they want to just drag you in. And, you know, obviously if you're there, the temptation is there. But then it comes back to what I try and teach my clients, which is impulse control, which obviously comes from Islam anyway, which is kind of a byproduct of fasting. So it's just very damaging. Obviously, it damages your dopamine receptors. You know, it stops you actually going out there and chasing your, you know, your purpose. So in Islam, we say once you get married, you complete half of your deen. And obviously, deen is just being in touch with your faith, pretty much as a basic kind of definition. But a lot of men these days, they get access to these, you know, beautiful women on the internet, and they're like, oh, hey, I'll just do this instead. And then, you know, they'll do certain things, which obviously is not very good for
It's a very short-term solution, right?
Exactly. They get a release from it. And then obviously back in the day, medieval times, if you want to say, you know, you had to kind of go out there and actually speak to people, which is why it's actually very interesting. I can tell from speaking to someone whether they watch it or not.
Yeah.
It sounds strange,
But you can
but
just
I can look at
sense it.
them because they won't be able to hold eye contact with me. The way they speak won't be very, they won't, I don't know how to
Something
explain
about
it.
being
They won't be
sure of
very,
themselves, or-
affirmative. Yeah, they
yeah.
won't be very affirmative. They'll doubt themselves. They won't have much confidence. And I can guarantee you, if I ask them, they'll go bright red. And the thing is, there's, exactly. There's a lot of guilt that comes with it as well, which obviously it's weird because a lot of these people, and men especially, they talk about, you know, post-nut clarity.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just want them to just think about it. If they do it, I want them to just think about what they've just done. They feel that guilt, and they're like, it's just pixels on the screen. What have I actually just done?
yeah.
But you can feel it in your soul that
this isn't right.
that it's not right. You know?
Like, this isn't good for me.
You know, you feel guilty, but people fall into that comfortability, and, you know, comfortability breeds weakness, and it's just a complete cycle over and over again. They might quit for, you know, 2 weeks and be like, oh, I'm doing really well. Then the urge comes in again, and then like, oh, you know what, I'm bored. I'm lonely. Let's do this.
A lot of this, like what you're saying, I don't know, you follow Andrew Huberman? The Huberman
I do.
podcast?
I do, yes.
What he's
I
been
do.
talking about lately, I don't know if you watched his one with Goggins yet, but he's talking about this area of the brain called the AMCC. It's like the anterior mid-cingulate cortex or something along. I think that's about right.
Yeah.
But anyway, what this thing is that it's an area of your brain that grows when you do things you don't want to do, or I suppose also avoid things that you want to do, because then you're doing the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So in this context,
Yeah.
And what happens is it's very plastic, so it grows, but it also shrinks. So the more you do things that you don't want to do, the more this area grows, and it becomes, in turn, I suppose, quote unquote, easier for you to do these hard things. Whereas it goes the other way too. So if you are constantly only giving into these temptations, insert anything there, food, what you watch online, anything, then this area of your brain is going to get smaller, and it becomes more and more difficult for you to engage in challenging things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, like, scientifically it's so bad for you, and it's such a cycle. If you're always giving into these easy things and not engaging in anything that you don't want to do, then it's only going to become more difficult for you to engage in more difficult things.
Yeah, 100%. It's just one of those things. It's, you know, a lot of people might say, oh, I don't watch it. It's very easy. Why do you do that? But as you said, scientifically, the brain just functions in a way, and that content changes your brain chemistry in a way, to the point where, you know, if there was a choice between doing that or going to the gym, you'd probably choose that.
Yeah.
Which is very, very scary.
Yeah, man. It's like an addiction, and the way I've heard addiction described to me, which really makes sense to me, is like the narrowing of experience. So what you engage in on a day-to-day basis gets smaller and smaller because of this addiction you have. It could be gaming, TV, what we're talking about now. It could be anything. But if you start to engage in other things less and this thing more, then it's just this narrowing of experience, and before you know it, it becomes an addiction, you know, instead of the opposite, where you're engaging in different things and trying out new things instead of just always this one thing.
Yeah, 100%. I just think people get to, I don't think social media's helped a lot with this kind of thing, because obviously you go on TikTok, your average 18-year-old male's TikTok is filled with girls wearing next to nothing. There's just pages of, these girls, a lot of them, they do it for business, and there's links to their OnlyFans, which,
Each to their own. Yeah.
you do you.
Yeah, the market's there.
You do you, but it's just one of those things I just can't get behind, why there's males that actually do this type of thing. I understand it's an addiction, but you do feel shame, when you do it. And obviously, if you feel shame, something's wrong. It's kind of similar with, things like feeling sad or feeling depressed. That's kind of like a biological trigger to, something's not going well in your life. You need to change it. You need to do something that's going to help you. E.g., go to the gym. E.g., start eating the right food. Because a lot of people, they'll go to a doctor and say, "Oh, I'm feeling really sad. Can you give me some like antidepressant tablets?" But I just think it's way too easy and way too accessible to get these things these days. Like, why don't you try going to the gym? Why don't you try eating whole, nutritious foods? Why don't you try drinking more water? Why don't you try interacting with good people that have good energy, that don't tempt you into these, activities that might not be beneficial for you, e.g. drugs, alcohol, these kind of things. And I guarantee you 99% of the time, they won't feel sad anymore. But obviously there's that 1% of people that obviously their brain chemistry does work that way.
And you need it.
And you do.
There is a place for it for some people.
There's definitely a place for it for some people, even for things even like PTSD, people have been in the war, they've seen horrible things, and they do need this type of help. But for the majority of people, it's sad really, because they're the actual people that are depressed and actually need help. But I think a lot with social media and, it's almost became like a trend to feel depressed and sad.
I think just that kind of language is probably just used more. So
Yeah.
maybe people are more readily, I don't know, more frequently using that kind of language. So then they're maybe more quick to apply those kind of that sort of language to themselves. And that's why I'm a big advocate for people to see people like naturopaths and to go see a psychologist.
Yeah.
And like these kind of people who look at well-being holistically and aren't necessarily just there to prescribe you something, although that does have its place. Like we said, like go and see people who know a lot about food and nutrition, and then also about exercise or how to work through these things
100%.
in your head by yourself. But anyway, maybe we take a step back into the fitness space again before we wrap up. I'm conscious of time. The gym that you work in is probably the busiest gym I've ever been to in my life. And it's so busy, in fact, that I've altered my schedule to now go to the gym at lunchtime because it's a lot quieter instead of going at that 4:30, 5 o'clock time. But being in such a busy gym, both training yourself and training people, do you have tangible advice for people in building their confidence in a gym, especially a busy gym? Like, I've been going to the gym for years, and I like it can be a lot for me, especially if I'm new to a gym. So if someone's new to a gym, especially if it's busy, do you have advice on how to build confidence in that space?
So it's even obviously the gym we go to. Even I've stopped training there. I've started training in my own, apartment gym because of how, you walk in, the mirrors, the windows, they're all steamed up. The aircon is working, but it's steamed up because there's that many people.
So it was so steamed up. I've never seen this in a gym before. The mirrors were steamed up, but it was so steamed up the other day when I grabbed like the plates to put on the bar, they were like moist. Sorry for people who hate that word, but it was like it had moisture on it, and I was quite disgusted. I was like, "Oh, yeah."
No, it's just like, to be honest, definitely number one, go with a friend.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I think, or a partner or something like that. Obviously, especially if you have a life partner that you live with and things. If you work different jobs, you're only getting in, you're maybe not even eating together. It gives you an activity to do with each other. Builds that kind of emotional relationship. It makes you feel closer to one another. Maybe you start loving each other a little bit more instead of getting sick and tired of each other. You can have
relationship counselling.
Not just
so
an online
so
coach.
The question was how to build confidence in the gym.
But obviously, if you go with someone, it's you feel a little bit less anxious. Because you can kind of ignore everyone else. you kind of just have to accept the fact that there are going to be other people there. It's a public gym. You just kind of have to get used to that environment. It can take a few weeks, months, maybe. Even I get, when the gym is that busy, I'm like, and what I want to do on my program, it's not free. I'm like,
and the
right.
4 other variations aren't free either.
Especially that chest fly
yeah,
machine.
yeah. I never even go and look at the other stuff. So I did some dumbbell flies.
Yeah, well, obviously that's the main thing I would say is just take a friend with you, But obviously, if you can kind of have, so obviously the program and the app that I use for my clients, especially if they train at that gym, they will have, their standardized exercise program. But the good thing about the app that I use is it will give them 3 to 4 alternative exercises they can do. Or say, for example, even if it's not free, any 4 of them, that can happen sometimes. You just miss it out. It's not the end of the world, But another thing would definitely be is you can get a coach, a trainer, maybe 1-to-1, which would help you because people might be nervous to go and ask someone, how many sets do you have left?
Yeah.
They might be a bit nervous, but
even like the layout of the gym, like, where is the leg press? And like you feel a little bit stupid, walking around and like, like everyone's looking at me, looking around when no one actually really cares about what you're doing.
Everyone is too busy worrying about themselves, about what other people are thinking about them to even blink an eye at you. And obviously another thing is for probably majority for females. I don't think males care as much, but they might just feel as though there might be like some strange males looking at them. And obviously a good thing about that, well, not a good thing, but I mean, a way to combat that would be go with a friend, or if you feel that uncomfortable. There was actually a story. One of my clients, she told me there was a guy, she was doing a lat pull down. Where the 2 lat pull down machines are on, like the pulley thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and she said the guy had his back against the bit where you can do like tricep extensions.
Yeah.
And then when she was pulling down and she came back up, the guy was almost trying to like kiss the bar.
Oh.
Which is a bit, strange. The guy was on his own, bearing in mind, he didn't have friends. So it was a bit less intimidating, but it was also a lot more weird because it would have been a bit more, maybe he's just having a joke with the lads, which obviously is not funny at all to make a girl feel uncomfortable in the gym, especially when she's on her own. And it's just, you just kind of have to ignore it, but tell someone. So say, for example, she told me, I've told the manager will have a look at the CCTV, see which member it was, bring him into the office, speak about it, to, say, why are you doing this? If you do anything like this again, like, you're gone, because you can't be making people feel like that, even if they're experienced. The gym's supposed to be a place to, make friends. I've met a lot of friends, I've met you.
That's here we are,
from the gym. It's a nice place. It's a nice environment. Everyone is really friendly. But, you do get 1%, 0.1% of people
just like
that are...
anywhere, man. And I've actually got another story. This probably isn't good because it's in the context of building confidence in the gym. But I was at the gym a few weeks ago in the stretching area on the mats. And this guy was kind of getting quite barred up and angry towards this dude who was on the exercise bike. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And anyway, long story short, this guy was filming this lady. And so this guy told a staff member, and the staff member came up, and like the guy was like quite like, nervous and yeah, man. Yeah,
I didn't even hear about that.
This was just a few weeks ago, But so I was obviously kind of eavesdropping. I didn't catch the whole story, but I suppose the silver lining there is that staff member again went up and like addressed the situation straight away. But like, I guess there are these people in the gym, right? I think he was saying that, no, I wasn't filming her directly. I was like just filming whatever. I don't know. I didn't catch all the words, but yeah, man, that only happened a few weeks ago. But again, told someone and it was addressed straight away.
Yeah.
You obviously can't stop these kind of people coming into the gym.
Yeah.
But they do get addressed, and like you say, their memberships get cancelled and stuff like that because it doesn't abide by the contract that they sign for being able to go to the gym.
Yeah, 100%. Another tip probably I would give is you can use, it is busy a lot of the time, but you can use the Stairmaster.
Yeah.
because that will it's kind of a win-win situation. I've actually got a video on this coming out tomorrow. But,
there we go.
Bit of promotion.
Link in the description.
Code Aran.
Follow me.
No, but obviously with the Stairmaster, gives you a nice little vantage point where you can kind of scan out the gym a little bit, you know, get used to where everything is, you know, the new equipment that maybe you haven't used before, get used to, you know, the gym being a little bit busy, especially in that January rush. I mean, I know we're both hoping
New
it
Year's resolution is.
Yeah, hopefully it calms down in the next few weeks and people go back to you know.
Whatever they were doing before.
No, obviously I want everyone in the gym, but obviously it's difficult.
It's a peak time.
Yeah. But using that is really good, and obviously you're gonna be able to build your leg muscles, burn calories as well. It's very challenging as well, especially if you don't hold on to the sides. That a lot of people do. You see people holding on like this and like this, and you know. But it's very, very good. I would recommend that highly. You know, I give that to my clients as their cardio when they feel like, you know, they bored of walking or they're bored of cycling or cross trainer or.
Well, here, try this.
You know, try this.
Can I go back to the bike again? yeah.
I know, yeah, but that is another good tip to use. Definitely, I've noticed a lot of. Even when I started in the gym, you know, a few years ago, I used that a lot. I used to just do cardio.
Yeah.
I was a bit nervous to use
That's
weights.
a really good piece of advice. And I'd give that to a lot of clients. And I'm the same. I do it myself too. Like I went to the other JD around the corner from here. And I didn't know where anything was. So the first thing I did was sat on a bike I was only on there for like 2 minutes, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. Here's this stuff. Oh, changing rooms here. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I needed a padlock because I forgot mine. I was like, oh, surely they have a vending machine. I was like, oh, the vending machine's there.
Yeah.
And like even on the piece of cardio equipment for 5 minutes, it like helps you get your lay of the land.
Yeah, 100%. It just stops a little bit of that anxiety, really,
Yeah.
because obviously it's going to give you a little bit of that endorphin release. Even if it's only for a short period of time, you're going to feel a little bit more confident. You know, even if you've got a little bit of caffeine in your system, that can make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And I just remembered actually with that, going on that cardio equipment, it's really good for people who have never been to the gym before too. Even if you said for the first 4 weeks, just go in and hop on the treadmill, because what it does is it's about all the routines outside of the gym, right?
Yeah.
What do I take in my bag? How do I get there? Where do I park my car? All of that kind of stuff. So then you build that habit, and then you could increase the complexity of their program in the gym.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, cardio, a lot of people don't do it, but it's very beneficial. You know, as much as you want to build that nice big physique and, you know, be able to, you know, lift as much weight as you can, if you're not very functional and, you know, you can't walk up the stairs without getting out of breath, what are you going to achieve?
The
you know?
weight training isn't increasing your VO2
Yeah.
max.
Man. It was like that thing you were talking about before. I was kind of just laughing and staring, but you were talking about -3 zones. I was like, what is this guy talking about?
That was complete shit. That was. But the zones are a thing, not a negative zone. But yeah.
But yeah, obviously, you know, as Muslims as well, we get taught it's sunnah. So sunnah is basically guidance from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, you know, it's sunnah to, you know, there's different things: swimming, archery, horseback riding, wrestling, which I'm actually taking up after Ramadan. So that'll be interesting.
Is it jiu-jitsu like you were telling
Jiu-jitsu,
me about?
Yeah, I was telling
man.
you that. Yeah. So that's what I'll be doing then. But you know, you got to look after your heart. You know, it's what keeps you going. You know, if you disregard it, ignore it, you're gonna run into problems now or later. You know, so
I was listening to this podcast, Paul Attia, I think that's his name, and he was saying that one of the strongest predictors for longevity is your VO2 max.
Yes.
And because that essentially your VO2 max tells you how well you can utilize oxygen and transport it through your blood around your body. So if you've got a really low VO2 max and you're really unfit, obviously your body isn't good at transporting that and utilizing oxygen. So yeah, it's so interesting getting into the science behind these things.
Yeah, because there was a study, I can't remember who it was by, but I think it was the person who doesn't do any cardio but does weights versus the person who smokes cigarettes and goes on a run a few times a week. They transport oxygen better than the person who doesn't do cardio, but even if they don't smoke. Which is kind of interesting.
Well,
you know?
they're still increasing their VO2 max, I guess. It seems counterintuitive though, right?
Yeah.
But you could still be like increase your cardiovascular fitness and smoke, it's probably not advisable.
No,
But
definitely
weight
not.
training, just like it doesn't get your heart rate up enough is the main
No.
thing with weight training. And don't like maybe you're on a super heavy set, maybe afterwards you're kind of panting. But like I recently got my watch and I keep a close eye on my heart rate now when I'm doing stuff like
Yeah.
weight training, and
Yeah.
it hardly even breaks 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whereas so that's not even like
Yeah.
zone 2 training, which
Yeah.
is what we were joking about before.
Yeah.
But so like it hardly gets your heart rate up at all. Like you have to be either walking at a fast pace or running or cycling, whatever form of cardio to actually increase that form of
100%.
fitness. Yeah.
100%. I think, cardio is very important. All aspects of life, it increases your longevity in life, not just in the gym. Obviously weight training is very good. It does have benefits. But if you compare both of them, you're kind of on to a winner there. Obviously.
That actually is something we're bridging these gaps quite well. I also wanted to ask you about, because I know you obviously weight training is your predominant form of training. How do you structure your plans, maybe for yourself, but more so for clients? Like what does a plan from you typically involve?
Yeah, so obviously for myself at the moment, so obviously my main predominant training regime is just weight training, a bit of cardio, some circuit training. But obviously when we move past Ramadan, it's going to be predominantly jiu-jitsu. Obviously I still do weight training and things as well, play football as well. But for clients, it kind of depends on their goal and kind of depends how much experience they have. So say if there's someone who's came to me who's had 5 years experience in the gym, I can kind of, I can program them quite easily. Maybe it's a push-pull leg split. Maybe it's an Arnold split. Maybe if they want to bring up their arms a little bit, maybe there'll be an arm day incorporated to kind of target those muscles. But say if you're just starting out, there's actually a client who's recently just joined. She is just doing 2 sessions with me a week. And then the rest of the time, she's keeping on top of her steps. She's going on doing a bit of cardio in the gym and things because she's trying to lose about 15 kilos. So that's kind of how a beginner's thing would look. As I said about the roadmap I give them first, it's just like get comfortable in your environment for the first 2 or 3 weeks. If you feel more comfortable and you want to start doing a bit more, then we can program you in a few more weight training, circuit training.
But you're leaving room for progression,
Exactly.
not starting on too much too soon like we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And another, actually, I want to touch on this, a little misconception about people is when they start cutting weight, sometimes they'll drop it too quickly. Even the calories I'll give them, they might be like, oh, that's a bit much, no? But they'll realize when they go to that calorie deficit, it's still a deficit, they'll still lose weight on 1,900 calories than 1,000 calories. They'll still lose weight.
Yeah.
But one problem that I did have with one of my clients is he dropped down. Bless him, he did really, really well. He dropped down from about 96 kilos to about 75.
Whoa, that's heaps. 20 kilos.
He lost about 20 kilos. He did really, really well. This was in a very short period of time as well, He looks very good as well. So he's built his strength as well, which is very good. But he dropped his calories that much, didn't really tell me what he was eating. And obviously I was trying to get on top of him to say, look, what are you eating? How much are you eating? You don't have to track it, but can you just tell me what
Give me
you've
an
had?
idea. Yeah.
Because otherwise I can't really help you, And he was probably eating about 700, 800 calories a day. And I was like, brother,
bro,
are you okay? And he said, yeah, I just really want to lose this weight, but it's not moving. Like, I'm not even eating much. And I was like, and he said, I'm getting my steps in. I'm doing my cardio. I'm doing my weight training. Like, it's fine. And I said, first, I've noticed your progression has stagnated for about a week. You're even dropping weights a little bit. And I just asked him, I said, why do you think that is? Just tell me. And he said, I don't know, maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. And I was like, try again. Because obviously I want them to learn.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I won't just tell them, because if you just tell someone something, they'll just go in one ear, out the other. So try and just get their brain working a little bit. And then when they actually think about it, they're like, well, maybe I didn't eat this, maybe, or whatever. And I said, your calories are very, very low, incredibly low. For your body weight and your sex is very low. Like, I said, how are you sleeping? He said, I can't sleep. I said, okay. Why do you think? He said, how do you feel? Do you feel like, obviously testosterone levels will drop if you're dropping that many calories? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel horny?
Yeah.
And he said, no. And I was like, why do you think? And then he was like, is it the food? And I was like, of course it's the bloody food, you know?
Messes with your hormones, man.
And then we upped his calories. So I said to him, right, for 2 or 3 days, I want you to eat whatever you want, eat as much as you can. Obviously, I gave him a bit of a plan to what to eat. And then he added that weight. He added maybe 1 or 2 kilos, but obviously that just kind of, regulates his body a little bit better. He was sleeping better. He was getting felt a bit more confident. He was getting aroused, obviously, in a way where he can control. But then the weight started dropping again. He lost more. And I said, do you not understand? Do you want to listen to me now? Because I know what I'm doing. And he was like, yeah, it's kind of annoying that you know what you're doing, because I thought I was doing the right thing and I know I wasn't now.
Yeah.
But obviously.
And that's the thing with those extreme calorie deficits. Yep, they work. But the couple of the points you touched on there is that you don't leave yourself room for any progression. You'll get to a point where you're like, okay, I can't increase my output. I can't decrease my input anymore.
And you're stuck.
Yeah. And then the other component of that is that you should be eating as much as you can that allows you to be in a deficit, especially when you're doing things like weight training.
Exactly.
Because you still want to, if you can, if it's possible, keep putting on weight or keep putting on muscle and keep your strength as well.
Yeah.
If you do something extreme like that, you're like, wow, look at me. I lost this amount in 10 weeks.
Yeah,
and
no,
then what?
100%.
And then your metabolism's shot. You eat 1,200 calories and you go into a massive weight gaining phase because your metabolism is slowed down.
Yeah, and then obviously that just increases fat gain as well, because obviously within that period of time, if you're decreasing your calories that much, you're going to be fasting. You're going to be fasting automatically. There's no way you can't, unless you're eating, I don't know, a froob or something,
Yeah, just spinach.
Yeah. So obviously with that comes, obviously with fasting is very good for the body. We know that. But it comes to a point where if you fast and you're already stressed out, that can there's studies that say it can increase your cortisol hormone, which obviously the stress hormone, which is obviously not going to be beneficial. You're going to feel even more stressed. And, that has links. I don't know the exact science, but there is links to fat gain, So again, that's something you have to take into consideration. There's all these different factors, and for a lot of people, it's very overwhelming. That's why people do get coaches, even if they don't want to be bodybuilders or have an unreal physique. This is why they do get coaches, because they don't understand everything, and they'll do silly things like these 4-week challenges, or sign up to a monthly app, or decrease the calories to a certain point where they can't even function properly at work.
That's the
in
thing.
daily life.
Without a coach, it can go either way, right? You're always falling off and you're having too much and not doing enough, or you go too extreme, you're doing too much and not eating enough. In that example there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So having someone to make a plan for you and keep you accountable helps a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of the time people will say, oh, I wasn't really thinking about a coaching program because I'm kind of just maintaining well on my own. But when we dive a little bit deeper, they can say, oh, well, I do this and then I fall off, and then I do this and then I fall off. And I say, okay, well, how about you just commit to yourself, invest in yourself for 6 months' time, then you won't need it ever again. You know exactly what to do and you will never fall off ever again.
You have the tools.
And then that's it.
Because that's probably, I don't know, but my assumption would be a large part of it is just not having the knowledge there, right? When you do have the knowledge, you know what carbs and fats and protein and about your calories and all this kind of stuff. When you have 100%. The basic tools, it's kind of like those are the keys to achieving the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah, of course. It literally is just a lack of knowledge, and it's that routine as well. It's like a lifestyle change, but it's a good lifestyle change. You don't want to be, again, it's kind of a trend to be lazy. It's like, oh, what did you do this week? And nothing. I just sat down and did this.
Yeah.
But why would you want to be like everyone else? I always see it as I don't want to be known as a number. I want to be known as a name. I want people to know who I am, how I've changed hundreds of people's lives. I don't just want to be, sat there. Our worker Aran died this morning. Right, put a job application out. We need him.
Next.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing as well, and that's what I kind of want to teach my clients as well. even if you work a 9 to 5, you can still be someone important. You can still help people. That doesn't have to be worldwide. It can be community based, very small. It can be family, it can be friends, you know, but you just don't want to be that person that's sitting at home doing absolutely nothing to improve themselves.
You want to have some meaningful impact. Right?
Exactly. If you don't have purpose in life, what do you have?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing where I was in a rut when I was in uni. Like, it was crazy. A year ago, you wouldn't even recognize me, you know? I was very down, not very active. But then I changed my life around. I became closer to my dean. I started training, started eating whole nutritious foods, obviously without giving up the foods that I like and enjoy. And I'm better for it on the other side, you know. I've got a business, you know. I can do whatever I want. I help people.
Sometimes you have to go through those points in your life, I suppose, to appreciate what you have now, and also like to give you maybe that kick that you need to,
exactly,
to achieve these kind of things.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Aaron, I appreciate you coming on today, man. It's
My
really
pleasure.
nice to have a good chat in person.
Yeah, that went quite quickly, you know?
Man, that's an hour and 20 minutes.
No way.
Yeah. I'm conscious of the time, 4 o'clock. But
okay.
If people want to follow you and check your stuff out,
Yeah.
where is the best place for them to find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. So it's at Aran Zia Fitness. So it's AranZia Fitness.
Nice. We could even spell it out on the screen over here
right
somewhere.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where you can find me. Obviously, I'm on TikTok as well. You might have even seen me on JD Jim's Instagram.
I did. Bro, that was epic. I saw that. And
Yeah.
I went on to their Instagram. I was like, I wonder how many followers they have. They got 90K. That's like a cool
decent
collab
outreach.
post, man.
Yeah, it's decent outreach. I got a decent amount of following from it each time as well. They post.
That's so cool, man.
But yeah, no, alhamdulillah, can't complain. I'm very grateful for everything. So
That's awesome, man.
You know.
Oh, well, appreciate it. I'll probably see you at the gym tomorrow.
Probably.